Hi, and welcome to the Italian Beginners Fast Track course. With this presentation, we would like to talk to you about a few details that you will have to consider after joining the course. So, as I was saying, this is a video that will focus on some useful information about the module that you have just joined. So, in terms of the books that you will need to attend your classes, you will have to provide yourselves with a copy of Amici, second edition. You have all the details on the screen. It's a Moore Ost book published by Oxford University Press, and you also have the details of the actual code that you will need to order the book. And then we would also like you to buy a grammar, an Italian grammar, which is called Essential Italian Grammar in Practice, published by Guerra Edizioni and authored by Mezzadri. The module convener for this course is Rossella Bongi, and your lecturers will be either Silvia Paloschi or Valentina Todino. So depending on the group that you have joined, you will be lectured by either Silvia or Valentina. The course is structured in the following way. You will have on your timetable 4 hours per week. During lesson 1 and 2, you will receive 20 minutes of synchronous teaching on Zoom or Teams. So depending on how this was set up by your lecturers, you will be able to join the class by clicking on the join link that will appear on your timetable. So depending on how this has been set up by Silvia and Valentina, you will either join a Zoom session or a Teams session. So Silvia and Valentina will explain the structure of those 2 hours for 20 minutes. And then the rest of the time, it will be for you to do some independent work. This work will be laid out for you as independent work for lesson 1 and 2 on Ellie. And all of the material will be on Ellie for you to browse, have a look at, and as I was saying, it will be explained to you how this is going to take place by Silvia and Valentina during those 20 minutes of lesson 1 and 2. But also, there will be some guidance for you to follow on Ellie itself. During lesson 3, so the third hour that you will have for this specific course on your timetable, you will actually have what is called the synchronous hour on either Zoom or Teams. This consists of a face-to-face lecture with either Silvia or Valentina. So you will be asked to join the Zoom or Teams session and then actively participate in the class for 50 minutes. Lesson 4, so the fourth hour on your timetable instead, will be what we say once again asynchronous. It's a class during which we're expecting you to carry out some self-study, to go through the material covered in the week and do some extra practice. All of the material will be on Ellie for you to practice on, and instructions will be given to you during the synchronous hour for you to check some sections within your book that you will have to take a look at as you're studying by yourself. During this fourth hour, your tutor will be online for the first 15-20 minutes. They will be available to answer queries on the chat. This chat will either be on Teams or on any other means that the lecturers will specify with you or will have already specified with you. So Silvia, for instance, will create a Teams group chat, and you will be asked to participate in this chat, and you can add comments or questions as you go along during those first 15 to 20 minutes. You will also find a calendar on Ellie for what concerns your formative work. There are 4 pieces of work for you to do over the academic year. 2 in term 1 and 2 in term 2. These will be marked to show progress or gaps to address. Formative work is not part of your overall mark. Formative work is there for you to realize how far ahead you've gone in your learning or whether there's anything that you need to address. And your lecturer will be there to guide you through the process of understanding whether there's any extra work that needs doing or if you're on the right track to have a good mark at the end of the course. As I was saying, the marks will not count towards your final grade. In addition to this, you will be asked to do some homework in preparation for or after every lesson, and you will be able to check it by using the answer keys on Ellie, or you can send it to your tutor. All exercises that you'll find on Ellie will have a key to check out the solutions to the exercises that you have just been asked to do. Your lecturers will guide you through this process so that if in the first week of you following this course you'll find it a bit confusing, it'll be easier and easier as we go along. But just for you to know, every single exercise that you'll find on Ellie and that you will be able to download and do practice on contains a solution to all exercises. And if you do have any doubts as you're progressing in your homework, you can always ask questions, as we were saying in this 20 minutes of lecture 4, when your tutor will be available to chat with you on a Teams group chat. So other than the 4 lectures that we're asking you to either follow or participate in with asynchronous study, you should be spending an extra 6 to 8 hours a week on your language. This is just to make sure that you can progress comfortably in acquiring a new language. For term 1 and 2, on your Ellie page, you will also find a calendar for 4 summative tasks of various nature and covering all skills. These will have to be submitted and marked periodically to go into a portfolio to be completed by the end of term 2. These 4 marks will go towards your final mark, and they are worth 50%. So both at the end of term 1 and at the end of term 2, you will be expected to submit some work that will be actually marked. This is actually a reflection of the formative work that you will be asked to do. So formative work will be a guidance for you on how the summative tasks, so those that will be actually be marked and be considered towards your overall mark, will be structured. So just remember that you will be asked to complete a portfolio. Half of this portfolio will have to be completed by the end of term 1, and half of it will have to be completed at the end of term 2. These 4 marks will go towards your final mark, as we were saying, and they will consist of 50% of your final grade for the module. The rest, so the remaining 50%, will be split, as you can see on the screen, between a term 2 oral exam, which will be worth 25% of your final mark, and term 3, which is a written exam that once again will be worth 25% of your overall mark. So just to sum it up again, term 1 will expect you to complete half of your portfolio. In term 2, we'll expect you to complete the other half of your portfolio. This will be worth 50% of your final mark. In term 2, you will sit an oral exam that will be worth 25% of your final mark. And in term 3, you will be asked to perform a written exam, which will be worth 25% of your final mark. More information about the exact weeks when this is taking place can be found on a Word document that you can download from your ELI page. When it comes to your formative work and feedback, as I was mentioning earlier, this provides you with detailed and individual feedback that you can use to try and get better at those gaps or those aspects of your learning that you might have left behind and that will prevent you from getting a good mark in your final exam. Formative work is not compulsory, but it is strongly recommended because it will prepare you for the summative tasks at the end of term 2 and term 3 that will consist of 50% of your final mark. And it will also prepare you for work that has to be included in the portfolio. So it's entirely down to you if you actually want to carry out this formative work that will be assessed and marked. As I was saying, these marks are not going to count towards any final grades, but they will give you a reflection of how far ahead you've gone in your preparation for your exams, but more importantly, with your learning. So we will be suggesting or trying to encourage independent study and extra activities. So the suggestion here is to devote as much time as you can to independent study. Read newspaper articles in Italian, listen to Italian radio programs, watch Italian films, ideally without English subtitles to try and see how much of them you can catch. Join the Italian Society on campus, and also sign up to the Tandem Partner through the Foreign Language Centre, the link of which you can find on this slide. When it comes to reading newspaper articles and listening to Italian radio programs, don't get discouraged if you can't understand them fully. It's just for you to train your ear, and as you progress in your learning, getting used to how the Italians actually speak. It will feel fast, but everything is fast when you know what it is. So once again, we're not expecting you to understand everything, but we would recommend starting to develop your ear when it comes to learning this beautiful language. Your first port of call should be ELI for all of the material that you need to use to develop or to learn throughout the course. On ELI, you can find all material used during the live sessions, and then additional material to prepare during lesson 1 and 4 for self-study practice. Additional material for language practice is available under the resources tile. As you will see, ELI is structured into different tiles, and each tile will contain resources and material for you to explore. The resources tile is not linked to any specific week, but it just gives you access to alternative resources to the ones that we're going to be using during the session, and that might save you time looking for some extra resources that you might want to use in your learning. All these have been carefully selected so that you will have a blend of things to listen, things to read, and things to watch. All the other tiles are dedicated tiles for each week of your program. So when you click on week 2, that will give you access to the first lesson of your course, which is taking place week commencing the 28th of September. And so forth and so on. So there will be a dedicated tile for week 3, a dedicated tile for week 4, etc., etc. The course is meant to be lasting for the next 10 weeks, starting from the 28th of September and finishing a couple of weeks before Christmas in week 12. During our course, we will be using a textbook, which we have mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, and which is designed for independent learning as well as for use in class. If you have any questions, once again, make sure that you log into the chat session or email your lecturer to request a meeting. And what happens if you miss a class? Well, we are expecting you to attend all synchronous sessions. These are just 1 hour a week, and then there will be 20 minutes at the beginning, so during your first lesson of the week, when your lecturer will explain to you how to structure the learning throughout the week, either independently or in class. More than in class, it will be a virtual class. Your attendance will be deemed unsatisfactory if you miss more than 3 sessions without acceptable reasons. If you have to miss a class because of illness or any other serious reasons, please make sure that you cover the material that you have missed and report your reasons via email to your lecturer. Remember, repeated absence will have a negative impact on your mark for participation, but also it will hinder your learning of the language. Learning languages is a sustained progress that you will have to make week by week. Now, if you have any questions, we are inviting you to use the chat. If you have any questions during the first class that you might have followed where this presentation was broadcast for the first time, then it's time for you to speak up. Otherwise, we'll see you on the chat. Have a great day. Have a great experience learning Italian, and Valentina and Sylvia will be happy to take, as I was saying, all your questions and support you through this beautiful journey.